Today I visit the Copper Coast in South Australia's Upper York Peninsula region. I scratch away at the mining history of Moonta, Wallaroo and Kadina, take in some colourful street art and meet a woman who's spicing up a small town. Hi, welcome to another video. First up, I've come to the small town of Alford in the north of the York Peninsula in South Australia. This is the sort of very small town that usually cars just come through without stopping. And that was the case up until about 5 years ago, when something quite remarkable happened. That changed because a woman with a passion for food moved to this tiny little town. African chef Karimi moved here and lived here with her husband, and she started up a little food truck called Karimi's Kitchen. And over the years, it gave people a reason to stop here in Alford. Karimi does a fusion of Australian and African cooking. It's Australian things like meat pies, but with an African twist. And apparently, the locals are loving it, and word has got out even further, and now people come to this town to taste Karimi's food. Hi Karimi.
Hello.
Great to meet you.
Great to meet you too. How are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. And you?
That's good.
Yeah. Karimi, tell me about your kitchen.
Yes, this is just a small kitchen.
Yes.
Food and business located in Alford. Nice little quiet place.
Yes.
What we do is just on-the-go food.
Yeah.
Quick, just fast, fresh, all done to order.
Yeah.
And serve just all sorts of people from all walks of life.
Yes.
Vegetarians, vegans.
Excellent.
All sorts of food. We
Yeah.
just make it authentic, fresh,
Yeah.
delicious, spicy.
I actually cheated when I checked online,
Yes.
and there were an awful lot of people giving you 5 out of 5 stars.
Well, I don't know about that one.
So they seem to
Yeah.
really enjoy the food.
Oh, yes.
I see you have lots of pies, which is very Australian.
Yes, yes. it
But
is.
I understand you put a bit of a Kenyan twist on it.
It's an African twist to it, whereby we have a bit of spices through it to just make it more still Australian, not to take off that bit and make it too spicy or hot.
Yes.
But something that also the people around the community, even the farmers, because that's what we are surrounded by, a farming area, and people who are on the go working like traders are able to eat. So yes. It's a mix of everything.
Did you need to educate them to spices? Did it take a while for them to get used to it?
I think not really. I think Australia is quite diverse because you have the Asians who have a lot of spice and chili to their food.
Yes.
So I think it's a bit different. They have been African.
Yes.
Because it's a different cuisine where it's more about flavor.
It's full of flavor, isn't it? And that's at the heart of everything.
Yes, it is the heart of everything. The flavor and just done with so much warmth.
Yes.
Well, as you're a vegetarian.
Yes.
Oh, I eat everything. Not everything really, but I eat meat as well as vegetables. I come from Africa.
Yes.
I'm a Christian.
Yes.
I love the Lord very much. And I do believe that this business here is not my own doing, is the Lord's doing.
You've had some help.
Yes, I've had some help, and I continue trusting Him for all things. Yes.
Excellent. Well, I think I'm going to try Karimi's mung bean curry because I've heard good things about that. Being a vegetarian, so that's my option. And that will warm my belly too.
It will.
Do you need some cutlery?
No, I'm good. I've got that in the van. Oh my goodness, look at that.
Thank you, Terry, for stopping with the rest. Yeah, that's good.
Yep, here we go. You said it has cutlery.
Oh, hey, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Terry. Thank you so much for coming. Enjoy that curry.
I am totally going to enjoy that.
And God bless you.
Thank you, you too. Lovely to meet you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
I'm going to enjoy this. It's actually turning quite cold, and this is going to warm up my belly. A beautiful mung bean curry. Oh my goodness, what a feast. Look at this. So, I've got the mung bean curry, and that's a generous serving. You can see that. Mung beans and rice. I've got some pita bread and salad with dressing. Not going hungry tonight, am I? Lovely. Oh, look, there's mung beans and bits of potato and other things in that. That's warm, it's tasty, it's just what you want on a cold afternoon. So, there you go. A little bit of Africa where you'd least expect it. Here in Alford, in South Australia. Loving it. Karimi's Kitchen is the only shop in town. It's the only shop that's still open. There is a bowls club, there is a tennis club, and there's a lovely little RV park up. You can camp here at Alford for free if you want. Donation they prefer. The old school grounds has now been turned into a free camp area. They have an RV dump, they've got a toilet, they've got barbecues, and they've got this beautiful old pepper tree. This tree was planted by school children in the 1880s. Oh, and by the way, you may have noticed a new look. It's partly because it's cold here, but also I've actually had some surgery on my forehead. I had a skin cancer removed recently, just had the stitches out. Under there it looks like I've been in a bar fight or something. It's not pretty. So for a while I'm going to be sporting the beanie. Next I come to the little town of Moonta. This is known as Little Cornwall because of the Cornish miners' influence on the history of this place. So Moonta is also an old copper mining town, so let's check out a copper mine. This is Ryan Shaft from 1861. I think it was one of the first discoveries of copper in this area. Right now it's just a big hole in the ground. But there's signs of mining all around me. I don't know if they call them slag heaps or something, rather tailing heaps I think, but that's all around me. There's a tourist railway that just runs through this little area, but it's not running today. I think the weather has something to do with that. So I can walk the line. That's quite a amount of dirt. I'm not sure how deep these mines went, but looking at what came out of them, I'm imagining it was pretty deep. Okay, I'm just wondering if I can get up to the top of this heap without dying. I think so. So this whole area in front of me was once mines. Drawing up copper, I believe the copper in Wallaroo was better grade than the copper here in Moonta, but they pulled an awful lot of copper out of here. Yeah, it's interesting. There's I'm finding, as I look down, it looks like quartz to me. yeah, there's interesting little coloured rocks here. I wonder if they are anything meaningful or just rubbish out of a mine. This one. Gold? Highly unlikely, but you never know. And this little one here, that's just bright green. That's definitely copper ore. Still copper here, apparently. I did hear the guy at the Heritage Museum. Oh, look at all this. Wait. Lots of bright green rocks. The guy at the Heritage Museum did tell me that there's plenty of copper still here, but the problem is water, because it's close to the sea. They've hit the groundwater, and it's just not worth trying to dig it up, because you'd have to be pumping constantly, fighting against the water that's seeping in all the time. And there are quite a few ruins here, and you can just wander in and explore, like this old pump house. No, it's not a pump house, it's a crusher house. You can tell I know nothing about this stuff. Okay, I just noticed an open door. I'm not sure how wise it is to go into a crumbling building, but let's poke our noses in. This behind me is Hughes Pump House, I believe. All of these pump houses and all of these ruins around here from the 1860s through the 1880s, I think. They're all National Trust protected now, which is great. Great to see that we're preserving our heritage. This Methodist church, built in 1865, seats 1,200 people. That's how many people were here, and they were devout Christians in those days. So they had to build a pretty big church. It apparently has a mezzanine level. Unfortunately can't go in these days, but it's another piece of history here in Moonta. Bit of a grand old school behind me here. This is at Moonta Mines, just up the road from Moonta, and it just shows you how many people would have been here once upon a time to have such a grand schoolhouse. Up to 12,000 people lived in Moonta and the Moonta Mines area at its peak. This old school now is a museum, and a little bit of information out. They were very helpful there. Well, that's the Moonta Mines. Let's head into town, into Moonta itself, and then afterwards the sun's kind of trying to peek out, so maybe we'll go to Moonta Bay and have a look what that's like too. I believe it's a pretty little bay. Moonta's a pretty little town with lots of little buildings from the 1840s onwards, which in SA's terms is pretty old. And they've got these gorgeous little miners' cottages. So this is the bay at Moonta. It's got some sandy beaches, two little bays going on here, and an L-shaped jetty in the middle. And I'm guessing in summertime, it's probably a really popular area for tourists. There's actually quite a few motels and hotels in town, and places where you can stay, and a lot of holiday shacks I can see down the coast there. This time of year, not too many people here because the weather isn't great. There's a few hardy fishermen I can see on the jetty. How's the fishing?
Got a couple of squid.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go, calamari for dinner tonight. Now, if you want to explore the towns here in the Copper Coast, each of the information centres or museums will give you these things, and they're a heritage map for each town. So it's really easy to get around and get a little bit of information about what you're seeing. So that's cool. I love towns that are promoting their heritage. So the weather outside today is terrible. It rained all last night and it's raining again today. So I thought I'd come indoors and explore at the Wallaroo Heritage and Nautical Museum. This museum's actually in the old post office and it's absolutely jam-packed, filled with heritage items and antiques and knickknacks from days gone by and the story of Wallaroo. So copper was found here in Wallaroo in 1860. Apparently a shepherd had his little fires at his camp and noticed that sometimes the flames were different colours and knew there was something going on, and then eventually some wombats dug a hole and somebody went into the wombat hole and found copper. And then there was a big boom, and at one point Wallaroo was the second largest town after Adelaide in South Australia. Fantastic collection of old model ships representing the sort of ships, the sail ships that used to come through Wallaroo. There's so much here. And the weather's terrible. It rained all last night, it's raining today, and the wind's picking up too. So we'll see how we go exploring Wallaroo in the rain. Oh, it's cold and wet. Whose bright idea was it to do van life in the middle of winter? Oh yeah, that was me. And this is the Wallaroo Town Hall, which was rebuilt in 1918 after being destroyed by fire the year before. It's a really lovely, imposing building that just shows that back in the day, Wallaroo was no little hick town. And a bit of success and money here. So Wallaroo is a fascinating little town. I'm sure it would be better if the sun was out, but it's still kind of fascinating. If you want a map to show you how to get around and see all the heritage sites in Wallaroo, at the Heritage and Maritime Museum, they have plenty of maps for not only this town, but some of the others. And I recommend grabbing a map and exploring. And finally, I've come to Kadina, which is the largest of the towns on the Copper Coast. About 5,500 people live here. Kadina also had its copper rush in the 1870s, I believe. That's when copper was discovered here. These days, it kind of acts as the service town for this part of the Yorke Peninsula. Now, while copper is a big part of the story of this whole Copper Coast, don't forget there's plenty of farming here, and farming's been a really important part of that story. So I've come to the farm shed in Kadina, which is, they claim to be Australia's largest farm machinery museum. This is Mata House, which was a mine a mine manager's house built in 1863. Hi honey, I'm home. Manor House is a beautifully preserved heritage house filled with authentic items from the era. And out the back door, because you had a detached kitchen, which was pretty normal in those days. This is also the laundry area by the looks. Geez, I reckon in the past I've been in a few share houses almost as old as this. Wow, this is the separate kitchen. Huge fireplace. All of these things here, you're really getting a sense of what life was like on the land in the old days. And it would have been hard and difficult, and I'm guessing I would have been terrible at it. I'm glad I live now. I need my iPhone.
In the town on the hill where the apples grow, and the church bells ring every hour or so, I took a little walk just to see the ships coming in. The sun rose up right above the highway, black, blue, red, yellow, golden skyway. It's like the day that you jump into the wind. I can't go back down to that water again.
Ever wonder what school was like in the 1950s? Here at the farm shed, they've actually recreated an old school using original materials. I'm not sure if I stepped into a time capsule or a movie set, but this looks very authentic. An old schoolroom from the 1950s. I don't know about you guys, but I was always a back of the class kind of guy. Ooh, I know the answer. I've had a great time visiting the Copper Coast, learning a little bit about the history, too bad about the weather, but it's definitely an area that you should come and visit in the northern part of the Yorke Peninsula in South Australia. Okay, I shall see you in the next one. Class dismissed. And over the years, people started stopping. You can't do that. This is the old Wallaroo train station. These days, you'll be waiting a very long time for a train because they don't run here anymore. It's a nice, imposing building, which kind of gives you the idea that back in those days, Wallaroo was no little... If I could talk, it would be great. But my mouth just doesn't want to work sometimes. This town, Kadina has popular... I don't know what I'm saying. It's too early in the morning.